Welcome back to Blasian Soul Podcast.
The Halloween edition.
The Halloween edition. Yes.
My name is Goldie, and her name is Angel, and we're here to bring you a new episode of Blasian Soul Podcast.
Yes.
So everybody sit back.
Where's your pen voice?
Relax. This is my. Wait, hold on. Wait.
I'm in charge. I'm the madam. This is Madam Angel over here.
Any voice I come out.
Get it straight.
Well, and I'm not a pimp.
Oh, okay.
What I am.
You are Goldie.
What I am is Goldie, the entertainment service man.
The entertainment
So whatever entertainment you're looking for, I can provide to you. You know.
Okay.
So
Okay.
It's different. It ain't like that. So don't y'all. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Once again, Blasian Soul Podcast every Wednesday, coming to you guys to talk about current topics, to discuss, the Black and Asian community, and have fun, do a little bit of lightheartedness with all of the amazingly craziness that we've had.
Things are going on.
The past 2 years. We can laugh together. We can learn a little bit about each other, as well as highlight a community leader, a role model, entrepreneur out there. We were told some time ago that the problem with the Black community is there's no active role models out there except athletes and musicians. And that's a false narrative. So we're here to change that narrative with highlighting role models and community leaders and entrepreneurs in your own areas. It doesn't have to be on TV. It's people right in your own community that make a difference.
And to highlight that Asians are not a virus. We are an active role in the community, just like yourself, and we are loving people. So,
this was fun that we were dressing up as Halloween and whatnot, and we wanted to take a little bit of a funny tone. Initially, but we're going to deal with a subject today that is very important. If you guys read, there was a TikTok celebrity, if TikTok people are celebrities, but there's a TikTok celebrity that I guess was in the process of breaking up with his girlfriend, wife, what have you, and ended up stabbing her 40 times in the presence of her best friend and a 1-year-old child. That's deplorable. So what we wanted to do today is get an expert in the field, an expert social worker, a person that deals with these type of topics, so that you can be aware not only of the warning signs of your mate, because it could be a male or a female who has that negative energy in a relationship, but to look for the signs of when it might be going down a dark path, and also what you can do to rectify the situation, whether it's counseling, whether it's getting out of the relationship, whatever the case may be, you have options, you have alternatives. So with that in mind, would you like to introduce our guest for the day?
Yes, definitely. So I bring to you today Coach Key, owner, CEO of Hu'Mend Network. And so we are excited to bring you Nakia, aka Coach Key, with us.
And
Hi.
I'm sorry, guys. It seems like we're having a little bit of feedback or echo. We're trying to figure out what the problem is, but we have not yet located it. So please bear with us. How are you doing, Coach Kai?
Mhm.
Nakia.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, we can. How are you?
Can
Coach
you hear me
Key.
okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Can you hear
great.
us?
Good. How are you? Yes,
Great.
I can
Thank you for
definitely hear you.
coming on with us.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you for
taking the
having me.
time.
I'm definitely honored.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. What we'd like to do first of all is tell the audience what you do.
Mhm.
What is your expertise?
Well, it's more about who I am. I'm definitely a vessel of God, and I'm being used to spread the word, to bring awareness to mental health and the Black community. And the it was birthed through my own personal journey, just experiencing, mental health and not understanding what it was. I'm afraid to speak to anyone about it because of the negative stigma associated with
Uh-oh.
it. So something had to change. So why not be the change I want to see? So that's how Human Network got started. And so I work with people who also have endured traumatic experiences and provide to them the resources that they need to get the help that's necessary for them to have a rewarding life. Because some people who have had traumatic experiences, they feel hopeful. So they need to know that there's a different light on the other side just waiting for them.
That's amazing. Now, tell us a little bit in detail of what Human Network is.
So, Human Network, it is a nonprofit organization, which again, its ministry is to help those who have experienced um, traumatic occurrences in their life, and we teach them self help. We provide to them resources to help them transition from that. Traumatic mindset and transition into a mindset of hope and redemption. And so that is what we do as far as my life coaching piece is concerned and my inspirational speaking. Also, like I said, we advocate to educate those about mental illness. We want to erase that negative stigma that's within our community. Too many times, people go, oh, he crazy, she crazy, something wrong with her. And, at times they're afraid to get the help that they need because they're embarrassed or they feel like there's nothing wrong with them or they have issues with talking to people because they're not comfortable because of this judgment that they feel may come from other people. And so we advocate for that to be a thing of the past moving forward, especially with the
Uh-oh, we kind of lost you. Are you there?
I him.
Oh, there you are.
There she is.
Okay, you kind of cut off a minute there.
I was saying we especially need to advocate for mental wellness in our youth today.
Mm.
We
Oh, definitely.
children, youth, yeah.
So, this seems like more than a job. It seems like a calling that you had for this
Hmm.
particular venture.
It definitely
Um,
is.
so,
It
what led
is.
you? What's your journey to get here? Did you think at an early age that you wanted to help people in this way? How did this dream come about?
Well, so the inspirational speaking part has always been that's always been in me. But the part when it comes to Hu'Mend Network and where that stemmed from, I was diagnosed at the age of 19 with mental distressors. I'm not afraid to share that bipolar 1 disorder, social anxiety disorder, as well as depression. And when I was first diagnosed, I was in complete denial.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's wrong with me. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't, seek the help that I needed. I didn't take the meds. I didn't like the counselors. Like I'm sitting there I'm just guarded because that's not me. We don't have those problems. And so for years after that, I struggled more and more. And even before the age of 19, when I was initially diagnosed, of course, I was experiencing symptoms, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what to call them. And so, like at 19, they put a name to it. And I'm like, nah, that's not me. And so I didn't seek the help that I needed because I was in denial. And of course, I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be embarrassed. And
Right.
in 2013, 14, I had a mental break.
Um,
I had a mental break, and that shifted my life completely. And because I committed suicide because everything that was going on in my head, I wanted it all to end. The pain, the feeling, the everything
mm,
just crashing down on me. I felt worthless. I felt ugly. I felt dumb, stupid, sad. The
mhm,
depression
mm. Oh
Oh
no,
no.
we lost her. Okay.
reject. Did you get that? I saw that. What was
Yeah,
that?
yeah. I don't know. Something happened. We lost you for a minute, but you're back.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. Yeah, I was triggered by something and it caused a mental break. Long story short, I had to be under psychiatric care for a few days, that and hearing the stories during a peer session, it was just this moment, something has to change, for me in my life. But if I know that I've struggled with this, there's someone else struggling, and they shouldn't have to feel alone like I felt alone. And from there, a year later in 2014, I birthed the Human Network, and we've been actively advocating for better mental health in our Black community, just advocating for anyone, mental health awareness, and just self care, and spiritual practice, and all of those things that you can fill yourself with to take care of yourself. But not only that, seek professional therapy, because that is important. Talk therapy is important. And if you're on any medications, it's important that you stick with your regimen.
That's amazing. And I want to say that, first of all, that's a true testament. So, don't keep it short. Anything that you want to share as far as those feelings that
Okay.
you had, feel free, because there's a lot of people that go through things that they never tell. I used
Mm-hmm.
to joke around about depression and people being depressed, and from where I come from and what I've been through, I can't be depressed because but no, everybody gets depressed at times. Everybody
Yes.
feels, some type of mental health anguish at times. So,
Mm-hmm.
by all means, it's a testament to you to be able to rise up out of that. So,
Thank you.
with the network, kind of how did you get started in that process of getting that together? And was it a hard thing to do to get a nonprofit together to seek to help other people?
In the beginning, it was the decision to do it was not hard. Writing out the plan, writing out how everything looks, it wasn't hard because it wasn't about me. It really was about that calling, like heeding to the assignment,
Hmm.
as being connected to the resources that I need to make sure that the logistics were sound as far as foundation. Because, at the end of the day, it's a nonprofit, but it's business. So in the beginning, I experienced some challenges with getting professional help with getting the foundation laid. So, glory to God, I made those connections, and I was able to utilize the help of a very beautiful young lady, actually two young ladies, one who is on this video right now, live right now, and then also a young lady by the name of Holmes. She took what I had and we revamped it during COVID, because I noticed, I know that during that time there was, a spike in depression. There was a spike
Yes, yes.
in domestic violence. There was a spike
Mhm.
in child abuse. And I knew that what I started initially in 2014, I had to take that and restructure it a little bit to honor the time that we're in and the next phase of work that's for us to do. And so it's a challenge in starting a nonprofit, because there are many moving parts, just like any business. But if that is your goal, if that is what you want to do, trust and believe God will bring those to you that are necessary, and you'll get it done.
Mm. Definitely, definitely. It sounds like a very worthwhile organization. Now, specifically, who can benefit from your organization? What I don't want to say what are your clients or customers, because they're not really clients or customers. They're people that you're helping. But what are some of the areas of concern, or people when they have certain problems? Who are you guys? Who is your average person that you help? Is it just depression? Is it domestic violence? What's the bigger what's the more ratio as far as who you help?
hmm So one of the things that I've been affected personally by domestic violence in relationships, and I've also experienced bullying at a young age when I was in high school. So
Okay.
when I revamped the Human Network, my niche was to definitely tap into the youth, those who are experiencing peer pressure, those who are being bullied, and to, help them come out on the other side as a better person. Because I have PTSD result of the bullying. It affected my early adult life, which was when I was in those domestic abusive relationships, because I didn't know I didn't know. Used to being bullied in high school, when I
Mhm.
transitioned into these relationships, these loving relationships with people, I didn't understand that they were abusing me. It was mental abuse, physical abuse. I didn't know the difference. I didn't have a healing from the bullying, from my early years. So initially, my niche market, young people, young adults, and my heart, still has, that calling to help them. There's somewhere where a cycle needs to be broken. And of
Mhm.
course, once we talk about domestic violence a little more, I'll touch base on that. But what I found is, once I got out there and I started making connections with these young people, I've had quite a few adults to reach out to me. And really, they're still children. They may be 45, 50 years old, but some childhood trauma that they experienced, they have yet to get a healing.
Mhm.
Oh, it's a broader, it's become bigger than me again. So anyone who has faced a traumatic experience, the loss of a loved one, abuse, my doors are open to them, because I'm real. and I have that empathy, and I do bring into my practice, that spiritual piece, not necessarily like pushing off a religion on anyone, so to speak, but just teaching them how to love on themselves, teaching them how to self care, teaching them that it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel pain, it's okay to seek help and talk to someone, and it is okay. It's okay, and it's gonna be okay. And all of the negative seeds that's been planted in their mind from the traumatic experiences that they have, there's an opportunity to shift.
Mm.
And so that's what I want. I want them to have that shift. I want them to be redeemed from the person that they once were into the person that God ultimately wants them to be. And
Right.
that's healed, that's whole, that's happy, that's self-loving, that's self-accepting, and you're able to love on others and be receptive for a new love that's really for you and it's healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant, brilliant concept. For everybody to love everyone, that should be a base um, experience that everybody wants to have. We briefly touched on the TikTok celebrity that um, Witten, after she decided that she didn't want to be with him no more, he went to the house, trashed the place, set up nanny cams to hear what she was doing, and then
So
ultimately
sad.
stabbed her 40 times in front of her friend and a child.
So
Um,
sad.
what are
So
some of
sad.
the what are some of the triggers or some of the signs to look for with domestic violence? Sometimes it's not always physical,
Mhm.
but it's mental abuse as well.
Oh, where do I start? Let me just start with my personal
Yeah.
experience, okay? So I'm a survivor. I'm a victim survivor. Okay. So when I experienced it, in the beginning, everything was fine, beautiful, of course, loving. But what happens is you notice that there are small injections of control, you know, like certain things that I would wear. He would say, "Oh, you look nice, but those pants are too tight." Or your hair looks nice, but that's a little too long. You have too much makeup on. It's just these small little things. And then it turned into I'm not going to change my style or who I am. So then it turns into him being upset. I thought I told you I didn't want you wearing tight pants, but you really didn't tell me that. Told me that those pants were too tight. You didn't directly tell me that. So now I have on pants that you feel are too tight once again. And so this upsets you, and it becomes one of those things where it incites an argument. Small argument, little back and forth, nothing major, but here we go. So then we turn to conversation. And in conversation, it's one of those things where he will share with you how he feels about the relationship and how much he loves you, and how much he feels like you all have this soul connection, and he doesn't want to be with anyone else, and he like, he's the only one for you, and he's the only one that's going to be able to take care of you. No one else will be able to do that like he does. And so then that's that passive aggressive behavior. That's how it starts. Passive aggressive, slight. And so then out of nowhere, and this is how it really starts, physical, because it happens mental, because they want to see how far they can go. So it's mental things that they do. And one of the I would like to share at that time in my life is, because I was dealing with, my mental distresses, I'm very open to expressing that, at the time, because being a person who has mental distress, sometimes there's a tendency where you disconnect from everyone, you kind of shut down in order to self-care and bring yourself back around. And so I explained that to him. And so one of the things that he did with the mental abuse, he used my distresses as a means to say, you crazy, you not thinking about this right. You know what I'm saying? That's just your anxiety. That's just your depression. You're overthinking. It's not that at all. That's not what I said. That's not what I meant. And so so then it becomes, the gaslighting starts, okay? So after a while, after that mental control becomes, once he's done that, or even once she's done that, we don't, whatever relationship dynamic is. But for me, once he did that, then I started to dress the way he wanted me to dress. I wore the makeup he wanted me to wear. I wore my hair the way that he wanted me to wear, all of it. And it still wasn't enough. And so what ended up happening was the physical abuse started. I've done everything you've asked me to, because in my mind, I want to be the person that you need to be, because I want you to love me. And again, like I said, with the trauma from my bullying, all I wanted to do was be accepted back then. As a here I am with this young man. All I want to do is be accepted and loved. So I'm going to do what's necessary to please you so that you can love me, so that we don't have comfort, that we're not fighting. Enough. It's never enough. If it's in them, it's in them. And it's something within them that needs to be healed. Something has happened. So with the physical abuse, it came out of nowhere. I remember when it initially happened, I was in total shock. I was backslapped. I was sitting on the couch. We were having a conversation about something we were watching on television, and apparently what I said did not sit well with him, and he slapped me. So when he slapped me, I was, I was, I was, I didn't know. I just grabbed my face, and I just started, that come from? And he was like, well, you're not going to talk to me that way. And I wasn't talking to you that way. I didn't, you know what I mean? So something that I said triggered him. You understand what I'm saying? And so, and then I left. I removed myself from the situation. Calls and the begging and the pleading, and then what they call that honeymooning, and get you back in. I will never do that again. That will never happen again. I'm so sorry, baby. And so I came back, and it was just a continual thing. It got to the point where he actually tried to kill my mother. And so I had to take police. I had to get a restraining order. I had to do everything I possibly could, because he started stalking me when I left. And just like this poor lady that lost her life, my heart goes out to her family, because I I could have been her. I could have been the type of conversation, murdered by an ex who didn't want to let go, you know? And so the signs are so subtle in the beginning. It's not something major. It starts, and it starts by captivating that mental, because once they get you mentally and they know how to control you, everything else just falls in place, and they know that they can get away with it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is wow, wow.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but what you said had made a lot of sense, as far as, starting out with the bullying and, just wanting to be loved and wanted. And so I think that's how women in particular get involved in these relationships and find themselves in a situation where they are controlled and manipulated, so I completely understand now that it makes sense with the bullying. I didn't think that the two are related, but when I saw your post earlier, I can see how one can be related to the other, because yeah, if you had experienced the bullying and the name calling and just the turmoil, right? I could see how you could fall into the arms of, or somebody who is showing you all this love, but then they are also mistreating you and trying to control you at the same time. And I don't think I've ever shared this like on live television. Some of my close, family members and, friends and loved ones know this had happened to me as well, where I have been in those types of relationships. And I was told what to wear, and it starts off with the loving and the catering and all of that. And then it's with the mental, and no, I don't want you with that person. They want to spend all of their time with you, and you're talking to
They
someone.
exactly want to
Yeah.
separate you from family and friends.
Yes. And then all of a sudden you're wearing stuff that you wouldn't normally wear. And, I found myself not dressing like a girl. I was actually at that time wearing khaki pants, and like I was a dude. Like he didn't want me looking like a girl at all. So I was really like baggy pants, khaki clothes, like seriously. And so it was a lot of manipulating and things like that. And so, a lot of things I was told to do against my will. And so it came to the point where, like you said, when you're trying to leave them, I actually had a knife to my throat at the time when I was trying to leave him. And he told me, he said, no, you're not leaving me. If you're not with me, then no one else can have you. And he grabbed the phone and he put the phone to my ears, and he said, he dialed my dad's phone number, and he said, you need to call your father right now and tell him goodbye. Like he was about to slice my throat or something. But then we were saved by someone came. So we were saved. Somebody came to the house, and it was actually his house, and one of his family members came, and I ran to the door to let them in, and I ran upstairs with them, and like, you have to keep this person busy because I need to go. And there was a gun downstairs because he said he was going to grab the gun and kill me. And so when they kept him busy, I ran downstairs. Grabbed the gun. I crawled out the basement and I threw the gun to the bushes, came back down, and then I eventually left, but those are some of the things that, you're with someone for years and then it just comes out of nowhere. It just slowly, like those things with the threats and all that, you wouldn't think that they would ever do, because you don't see the
You
signs
don't see them like that because you're still loving them. You're still in love with them, and you feel like if you do this, they'll change. And they know that. And that's where the manipulation piece comes in, because they know that you're in love with them and they use that to their advantage. And then I'll also say, I'm speaking about him, but for me, I had several. So I left him and I went
Yeah, it's just
to
like a cycle,
another.
right?
It was a cycle. I went into another abusive relationship. So my early adult years, the relationships that I had, they were all, you know,
Toxic.
had domestic distress, you know.
Yeah.
And when I then I said, you know what, enough is enough. Let me just be by myself. I got to be by myself. This is, and it's one of those things where you notice then when I had low self-esteem,
Yeah. Yeah.
I did not have, I did not accept myself for who I was. I thought
Mhm.
I bad. I thought everything that they told me that I was,
Mhm.
that's who I thought I was.
Mhm.
So I felt like I couldn't do any better. I should be happy that someone wants me.
Yeah.
And that's the way so many women feel, coming from, these relationships. And so that's why my heart goes out to them, because they need to be rebuilt. They need to be redeemed. But let
Yeah.
me also let me also just say this, because this needs to be said as well. there are many conversations about women in domestic violence, many. Um, but we forget to talk about the children in
Yeah.
these domestic situations. These precious little souls, they're trying to find themselves. And when they are in these abuse situations, and that's see, it becomes normalized. And so as they grow up, just like me with the bullying, I was desensitized. I didn't know. It becomes normal for them. And they think that it's okay. They don't even recognize mental abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Domestic violence is not just physical, it's so many forms. And so we have the children in the environment that's experiencing this. We have the man and we have the woman. Let's talk about the man, because not always is it the man exuding the violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, in some cases,
Amen.
the woman that's
Oh
exuding the
yeah.
violence. And men don't tell. Men are very afraid to about the fact that their experience domestic abuse, they don't even consider it domestic abuse. Them being
Exactly.
called out their name, a shoe being thrown at them, you know, burning their food and serving it to them, like
Yeah.
you eat this, following them, slashing their tires,
Mhm.
wanting to control where they go, who they talk to. That's domestic violence as well. And so we
Yeah.
need to address that. It's a 360 thing. And
Right.
for me, the cycle has to stop
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. Me, I think that's why, my heart goes out to children, because you can just capture a child. One of the things when it comes to traumatic experience in children,
Mm-hmm.
say for instance, a 6-year old experiences a traumatic experience, and then a 12 experiences a traumatic experience.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
The negative effect is going to be more so on that 6-year child versus the year old child, because that
Sure.
6 year that experience that 6-year old had, that's going to carry for the rest of their
Oh
life, if there's not a healing, if
Hmm.
yeah.
there's not therapy, not something.
Yeah, I say all the time, and when this happened, I was amazed when Tiger Woods and his wife got into the dispute, and she chased after him with the golf club and got him into the car accident. Everybody was like, "Shoot, he deserved it. He cheated on her." You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, how is that different than when a man gets physical with a woman? It's the same thing. She didn't go to jail. They didn't even arrest her, you know. And just like you said, with when you're battered for so long, it becomes natural. He kept telling them, "Hey, I don't want to press charges. I don't want to press charges,"
Mhm. Mhm.
because it's kind of like he was conditioned. He thought this is all my
Mhm.
fault, so
Mm-hmm.
she can do whatever she wants to, and
Mhm.
um, that type of thing goes on, with men and women. And like you said, as a man, you just you kind of shrug it off because
Yeah.
your masculinity won't allow you to say,
Exactly.
that this woman is terrorizing me or abusing me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Just it's because in that societal,
Mm-hmm.
men should be this way. Men don't cry. Men don't. Okay, no, that is not true.
I heard in the radio the other day. I was driving. It was a survey that they did, and surprisingly, they said that men cries 4 times more than women. They just don't show
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. They do. They do, and they do it in private.
Yeah,
I've
right.
you have some men, and seriously, my heart goes out to them. I love it. I love a man that cries. Period. I love any person that allows themselves to cry, and allow that pain, that hurt, that anguish to be released.
Right.
That's a cleansing. When you cry, that's a cleansing. And so I commend anyone who themselves and just really let it and just cry until it's over, especially a man. And when a man cries, it's truly a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness.
Yeah, yeah. And two, hurt people. So
They
it's
do.
something that they need to get out too,
Yes.
and they've been so conditioned, men have been so
Mhm,
conditioned to keep their feelings to themselves and carry this,
mhm,
macho, I got this,
mhm, mhm.
kind of thing. But some people, they've had a traumatic childhood as well, and or
Right.
gone through things of their own as well.
Right. And the cycle
The
continues,
cycle
with,
continues, and
that, yeah. Yeah, that, and because, as
because it's
children, like I
normalized,
said, yeah,
it's
they
normal for
see
them.
it and it's normal for them and they think that it's okay, and it's not. It truly is not. And that's where we have to start doing the work. My experience when I go into, domestic violence shelters, or I've spoken with women who have, escaped, so to speak, and they're in transitional housing, have their children, of course, they have people there for them. And that's awesome. We do need to rebuild them.
Mm,
Let's also take a look at the child as well. They may
Mhm.
not even know how to express themselves. They're still trying
Exactly.
to figure out who they are,
mhm,
you
Right.
know? And see this, it's traumatized to the core. It's just, my mom, went through this, one of the things too is, when anyone is being abused and they have a child, of course, if that child is like too young to really know what is going on, like they're like a
mhm,
toddler or not really aware, they may hear, but they don't really know what it is that they're listening to. But when it
mhm,
comes to, a baby who is walking, aware of their environment, aware of their social system, and they're looking at this, right? One
mhm,
of the things that has to be done is you need to communicate to your child.
Mhm.
Mommy is going through a difficult situation. Daddy is going through a difficult situation with mom, or mommy and daddy are experiencing things. This has nothing to do with you. You are still loved, but mommy needs to make a change. And so we're going to go live with grandma, or we're going to go live with auntie. It's imperative that you communicate that to a child when
Right.
you are in those situations, so that they can understand and recognize right away
mhm,
not to stay in a situation that is unhealthy.
Right.
mhm, mhm. Without a
Mhm.
doubt, without a doubt. I agree. I agree.
Definitely.
If there are people out there, now we do have your information scrolling across the screen, but just
Mhm.
give them a brief summary. If they want to reach out, if they're having these problems, if they find that what you're saying resonates with them,
Mhm.
what should their steps be to get in contact with you? What's the
So
best way?
I appreciate the fact that you have all of my information on the screen, and that's really the best forms of contact. If you call my phone and you leave a message, you can even text me and I respond. You can send an email to, my email address, and like I said, I offer, coaching, and I also have just a plethora of resources, connect men, women, or children to professional resources that they need to
Mm,
help them transition into a life of healing, of redemption, of even recovery, until they discover who they really are. Because right now, some of them, they don't know who they are because they've been living for someone else. They need to find
Right.
themselves. They need to
That's
find
true.
themselves. So most
Right.
That's true.
definitely, they can reach out to me, email, phone call, and I will definitely connect with them, talk to them. It's a judgment-free zone. My heart is open, and the team of people that I have behind me are awesome, and they are willing to help.
Awesome. Awesome. And and you're perfect proof that there is life after abuse. And
Yes.
we both are that living testament to that. So any of you who are watching, just be aware of the signs, especially now during COVID. You're cooped in the house, or you're not working, and finances or stressors. It may cause a little bit more tension, and then cause domestic violence. There's help and there's hope. Don't feel like you have to stay in that situation, because
Yeah.
there is life after abuse. There's life after domestic violence, and don't let it get to the point where you're stabbed 40 times in front of your yard, like that situation that just happened. And our hearts and prayers go out to that family. That how much more can we take of that, right? And
Right.
both of us, we could have, that things that happened to us, that could have ended our lives
Yes.
with no one. We probably didn't even talk about it or shared with anyone.
We did. Yeah.
I hardly, I don't bring it up unless it's a topic about it, right? But that is something that we both have gone through, and it just kind of carries on to relationship after relationship. And that's
Yeah.
something that, if you are a woman or a man, that you continue to find yourself in those situations. And right after that, I was in a toxic marriage, and so that led on to
Mm.
toxic marriage. And it wasn't until we start to reflect and take that time off, and so I was 7 years self-love, self-care, just
Yep.
figuring out who I am before I got involved in another relationship.
Excuse me, I'm
Yes.
not in another
I
relationship.
don't get
I'm your husband.
it.
Don't get it twisted.
You know what I mean?
Um,
You know what I mean? Till I got involved with
right.
this one right
Don't get it
here.
twisted.
And by the way, if you're just now tuning in, we usually not like dressed like this. This is a wig, and
It's for Halloween.
yeah,
Halloween
we're just having a little
Actually,
fun.
fun. He
actually,
might
let me
continue
say,
to dress like that. I think he
no,
kind of likes it too much.
let me say this. The wig she has on is working. Okay.
It's working.
Yes,
I
it's
told
not.
you the wig was working.
It's working. You know
It's
what I'm saying?
working.
That might, we have to
Yeah.
put that in the closet somewhere and keep that because I like it. It's working. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Okay. Um,
Oh
but
my goodness.
Love it. I love it.
we usually ask people, usually entrepreneurs, if you had to give some advice to somebody who's thinking about starting their own business, what would you do? But I think our final question to you would be, if someone thinks that they see these signs, but they're on the fence about whether or not to take action and call someone like you, as opposed to just seeing whether or not it would work out. What's kind of your last comment to somebody who thinks is really not sure, or they can work through it, or things of that nature? What would you say to them to kind of help them out?
Um, oh wow, someone just made a comment. That is awesome. Yes, Patricia, let's take away the shame. Yes. I truly agree with that statement. And we do, because I have had conversations with a couple of young men who are experiencing domestic violence, and sadly, they didn't even know that that was domestic violence.
Yeah.
The
Right.
definition of it needs
Mm-hmm.
to be clear. It's not just physical, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I'll say, because when you asked me the question, it was kind of broken up a little bit. But if there was anything that I wanted to say to anyone, um, because people always use the word love to manipulate people, these unhealthy relationships.
Right.
A person can love you and love the idea of you and love the idea of being with you because it does something to them.
Mhm.
but they don't necessarily like who you are. So
Mm.
you can be loved but not necessarily liked. And if you're not liked, that's the part of you, that's the essence of who you are.
Right.
And if that person doesn't like who you are, that love is conditional. And there's no telling where that conditional love will lead. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it has to be one of those things where you over and over and over again, you must love
Yeah,
yourself. You must like
definitely.
yourself
Yep.
because you know how to create healthy boundaries, know how
Yes.
to identify right off when
Hmm.
someone is for you.
Yeah.
You know, so the self love and the self acceptance and the practicing of feeling yourself and getting to know yourself is very imperative. It's extremely imperative that you know yourself before you embark, you know, in a relationship with anyone. And the first time, I mean, when I tell you, if they do it once, they'll do it again. It's not going to
Mhm.
change.
And it
You know,
just gets
unless,
worse.
yeah, it's work. You know what I mean?
It just gets
And
worse.
it's oh, because if you know they say that they're sorry, you forgive
Yeah.
them, and then what happens is it creates a pattern. Like, okay, I know I can do this, and she's gonna forgive me, or he's
Hmm.
gonna forgive me, and it's gonna be
Exactly.
okay. So even if it's one of those things where, say, for instance, there's an argument with a
Hmm.
couple, and she's called out of her name, or he's called out of
Hmm.
his name, we need to go get some help.
Yep.
We need
Yep.
some anger management classes. We
Yeah.
need to work on this. We need a healing. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a hopeless situation. You know,
Right.
people who have, you know, they're in a relationship for a long time and they really work, and that person that's being abusive, it's they want to change. If they really
Hmm.
want to change and they're willing to change and they put in that work, allow them opportunity. Give
Yeah.
them that grace. Give them that grace. But in the meantime,
Work on
don't hold
yourself.
yourself. Work on yourself. Don't hold yourself up waiting for them to get a healing, because how long that'll take. You
Right.
Right.
know? Yeah.
And yeah, a relationship usually isn't hopeless, in my opinion, except for physical violence. Any type of physical
That
violence in a
that
relationship,
no.
cut it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Cut it quick.
That
You
has to
know,
be cut quick.
right. I can, you
Hmm.
know, this isn't anything to brag because this isn't, it's like the old Chris Rock comedy where somebody says, I've never been to jail. And they say, well, you supposed to not never been to jail. Or they say, I take care of my kids. Well, you supposed to take care of your kids. So I can say that I've been married to my wife 14 years. We've been together probably almost 18 to 20. Um, God forbid, never put my hands on it because that's insane. But
That's insane.
in 18 years, I've never called my wife out her name. That's
Yeah,
just not, you
that's
know, something.
disrespectful, and
Right,
that's abuse.
right. So yeah, but that's not something to be championed because that should just be the norm. The norm is that you don't put your hands on your significant other. The
Right.
norm should be that you don't call her out her name
Yeah.
or she call him out his name. So
Right.
that shouldn't be championed. It should be the
Yeah.
norm for
But you have,
relationships.
there's people that we even know that it's a normal part of their relationship. Like
Yes.
they argue, they fight, they
Yes.
physically fight, they
Yes.
call each other out their names, and it's just like a normal part of their relationship. And it's
They
just like,
think it's okay. They
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
okay,
it gets
and it's
normalized.
not. It's not. That's it's not. And then we can go so far just to tell, and we don't have to go into this. This could be a really different
Another
conversation that we
episode.
can have. Yeah, but let's talk about the relationship between us sisters and us calling each other out of our names as a term of endearment.
Right. Right.
That's not good either.
No, not at all. Not at all. Sweetheart, thank you so much for coming on our show.
I
If
having me.
anybody,
Thank you.
if anybody out there feels that they need help, whether it's a full blown session that you guys get in, or whether it's not, it's just calling just to have someone to talk to. If you feel that you need it, regardless if you're sure or not, if you just feel that this might be something that can help you on your journey, by all means, reach out. The help is there. You just got to be one. You have to have the will to want that help.
Yes.
So thank you very much for coming on. We truly appreciate it, and we hope to have you back on soon.
Yay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Patricia. Thank you, Miss
Love it.
Doris.
Yes,
South Carolina,
definitely.
Denise,
Yes, thank you for everybody that tuned
Tom,
in.
Tim, Home King Tom, everyone that joined in. And now I'm trying to figure out, should I keep this on for my business coaching client I have at 8 o'clock?
I don't know. It might work. Patricia, thank you. I honored you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it and it was very helpful for you. I truly thank you.
Yeah, and you have programs that her sons could potentially. I think, did she say boys? Oh, I don't know if she has sons or boys, but if she knows any children or teens that may be beneficial. All
Definitely.
right.
She
Well,
can
we will
definitely
see
reach
you
out.
again. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you. Thank
See you
you.
later.
You all have a great night.
Peace.
Bye. Awesome, awesome, awesome. That's those are things that we definitely need to bring up and talked about. I don't think it's talked about often enough, and maybe there should be a segment on men, and we had one last year, but maybe an updated one, men and mental health, and the stigma around mental health with men. So all right, do you have any last words, because I have to jump on a
No,
coaching call
I
at
don't.
8.
I just everybody have fun. Like I said, this is our Halloween edition because we won't have an episode before Halloween comes around. So everybody, do whatever that you're going to do for Halloween. The main thing is everybody be safe. Watch out for all the kids during Halloween. But everybody just, kind of relax. It's been a crazy 2 years, so relax, have some fun. Kind of step outside your boundaries, as you can see here, and
do things to make you laugh.
Yeah, have a little fun. Life
is short.
Life
yes,
is very, very
definitely.
short, so.
And we will talk to you next Wednesday, same time, same place.
Watch your six.
Lock on.